here, this is probably in the top 5 more insane snow maps that I've ever issued. We're going up to 36 inches of snow for parts of the Upper Peninsula, and this has been consistent throughout just about every single model. I know a lot of folks tend to be a little conservative, which is great, but I'm just calling it as I see it here. So this is what we're looking at. The whole UP pretty much is going to expect at least a foot of snow. Some areas 2 feet, some areas between 2 and 3 feet. 36 is the absolute max. Then into the lower peninsula, you can see, the system to the north and then the more defined lake effect areas on the backside of the system. So that's why you've got kind of a weird cutoff there. But I did circle a little area of uncertainty, and that's because if we shift the storm even by 1 or 2 counties, that's going to shift those snow totals dramatically. So we could go from some areas only seeing maybe 8 to 12 inches, instead seeing 1 to 2 feet. So I'll keep an eye on it for you. Again, most of this is going to fall Sunday night into Monday, so we still got a little bit of time to go. But the key points here is a strengthening storm mix, and some heavy rain is going to turn over to snow, winds gusting 45 to 65, blizzard conditions, and I think we'll have a lot of puddles and standing water in the lower peninsula freeze. And I've seen that before as well. Working at ABC 12 in Flint, we had a system in January that dropped like 4 inches of snow, and I'm not kidding you, everywhere you drove between Flint and Grand Blanc and Shiawassee County, there was just like small lakes and front yards, and those all froze over, and I do think that's possible to happen again. Well, winter storm watches have been issued across the Upper Peninsula, and this is going to be a pretty intense storm. I think we'll see more of these issued today, and then as we get into later tonight, tomorrow morning, these watches will start to be upgraded into winter storm warnings. Now, I do think the potential exists for these to be upgraded into blizzard warnings in some cases, especially across the central UP. I do think we're going to see blizzard warnings in effect for a lot of folks, and that's because we're going to have very strong winds, low visibility, and a ton of snow coming down. All right, let's get into it. This is how things look at 4 o'clock in the morning as we go into our Sunday. So we're looking for mostly rain, maybe a little bit of freezing drizzle there indicated by the pink. That'd be around Houghton Lake, Cadillac, and again, this is a pretty small area, but it's possible. Notice the rain starts to overspread the state, especially downstate by Grand Rapids, Lansing, Detroit, Flint. This is set at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on your Sunday. Even a few thunderstorms are actually possible down there, believe it or not. Look what starts happening, though. We start bringing in the snow into the western UP, and this is when the storm system really starts to strengthen right over the state of Michigan. So you can see everything kind of start to come together here. Snow transitioning over across the Upper Peninsula, maybe some freezing rain across the Sioux still, and then the Lower Peninsula, we're already starting to switch over to some of that snow. And it sounds weird having snow to the south and rain to the north, but that's what happens when things start swirling around, and this is going to be a storm with a lot of swirl. So as we get into 4 o'clock in the morning on Monday, you can see intense snowfall coming down for the Upper Peninsula and the west side of the state of Michigan, and the Lower Peninsula at least, and that snow continues pretty much through the day on Monday, wrapping up by the evening hours, and then it finally starts to wrap up and get out of here by Tuesday before another clipper system starts to come on by. Now, this is taking a look at those potential wind gusts that we're really concerned about, and this could cause some power outages. It's going to cause blinding visibilities. So we'll go forward when it starts to look like it's getting really intense, which is right about here. This is actually midnight, Sunday night into Monday morning. We're starting to see some oranges show up. That's indicating the possibility of gusts over 50 miles per hour. But notice inland, it's more like 35 miles per hour still, and these are just gusts. Sustained winds will be a little bit lower than that. Now, as we go a little further, I'll stop the clock here at about 5 o'clock in the morning. So 5 a.m. into your Monday morning, the winds are whipping out there. We're starting to see oranges show up across the southern half of the Lower Peninsula, which indicates gusts of 50 miles per hour, even inland. The lakeshore could be gusting to 60, and look at the Upper Peninsula. Lakeshore areas gusting 50 to 60 miles per hour as well. We'll go forward. This is 7 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm getting a little concerned that we could see some gusts near 60 possible. I think this model going higher than that might be a little too much, but we've already had numerous winter storms with gusts of about 60 miles per hour, so that is not out of the realm of possibilities at all. And I do think some lakeshore areas might gust a little higher than that. This is getting toward 1 o'clock in the afternoon now, right about here. And we're still seeing those very high gusts. everywhere inland has the possibility to hit 50 miles per hour. Lakeshore areas still have the possibility to hit 60 miles per hour. And that continues on. This is now getting toward 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'll stop it at 7 o'clock in the evening. So the whole day on Monday is going to be insanely windy out there. And that's why I think we are definitely going to see some blizzard warnings show up from these winter storm watches that are being issued. Heck, even overnight into Tuesday, the winds are still very strong. And this is when a lot of cold air comes in. So now we're talking wind chill. All right, now I want to talk about those temperatures because we're going to have a lot of spin with the storm like I was talking about. So that means a lot of warm air can be brought up from the south and very cold air can be brought from the north with a lot of strong spin going on around the low pressure. Yeah, we're going to make a run at 60 on Sunday for some areas in the lower peninsula, primarily along and south of 94. Everyone else to the north you can see is right around 30 degrees. Into the overnight, though, this is when things start to crash down. So by the time we head out the door Monday morning, these are your Monday morning temperatures. We're in the teens and 20s out there. So imagine all that snow coming down in teens and 20s. It's a fluffier snow, and that fluffy snow is going to pile up fast. And notice some of us continue going down into the day Monday. We'll stop here in the evening hours. This is 6 o'clock in the evening. Some of us are in the teens, if not borderline single digits in the upper peninsula, and 20s down to the south. But overnight into Tuesday, remember, the winds are very strong still. We're dipping down potentially close to zero in the western UP, and then Tuesday itself, we're still going to hang out in the teens and 20s. And here's the wind chill. Now, wind chill is negligible over 50 degrees, so that's why you see kind of a sharp cutoff to the south. But look at this. Some areas will be near 60 degrees at about 9 o'clock Monday. And within a couple of hours, this is 5 o'clock in the morning. So in 8 hours, we go from 60, feels like, to a wind chill down into the single digits, borderline zero. So that is an insanely fast temperature drop. And again, this is feels like, but it's still going to be a shock to the system. And then we spend most of the day Monday a couple of degrees either side of zero for the wind chills. So again, dangerous storm system and blinding visibilities. And here's a quick check of the visibility. I'll pause it here when we start to see things really go downhill. But you can see right here, this is when we could have those visibilities less than a quarter mile for some of us. And that's going to be overnight Sunday into Monday. And there you go, even some more right there across the UP, western parts of the lower peninsula as well, because we switch over to more lake effect. And it's just not going to be fun to travel. So make sure you can hunker down, especially in the UP. This is a serious storm. So make sure you can hunker down for, if you're out in a rural area, maybe a day or two before someone's able to get out there and plow. It's going to be a good old-fashioned Michigan winter storm, that's for sure.